Objectives met. Prep for evac.
TACOM, party's over. Need reassignment. Sheriff, down.
Alrighty, I guess I could do a... Alright, I guess it's time for me to do a real quick review of the razer wildcat. If you see over here, this is the Sabertooth, and this is the razer Anza right here. I've definitely been a fanboy. The razer Anza was probably my favorite controller of all times, even though it had, you know, it was like injury prone, like it had, you know, no durability at all. As you know, with these controllers, razers, I'm gonna just say the controllers because I never had a mouse and I never had one of the black little keyboards, so I don't know anything about that. Every time I see in the comment section, people, you know, hate and say like, yeah, you know, razer stuff is bad. All I know, the controllers is all I've ever had. And I would say, with that said, yes, I went through so many Anzas, was ridiculous. Like literally, I had at least 7, 8 of them but I wasn't paying for them. I would get the insurance on when something happened, go back and change for another one. I think I purchased 2 total, and then the rest were like just rehabbing, rehashing the insurance with Best Buy. But to the point where they discontinued this product selling it at Best Buy. But I did go through several razer Anzas. I did get 2 razer Sabertooths. I did, and now here we are with the razer wildcat, and we just might as well get right into the meat of the bone. I love everything about the controller. About 2 major factors that, you know, is like contemplating me. Should I send it back? Will I send it back? And this video, I did just review a while back before I got another controller, so things have changed. Like, I know what the other controller has to offer, so it's gonna be different. Hands down, good. The way it feels, the mechanical buttons. Yes, it took time for me to get used to not pressing so hard again. Even though I did use my razer wildcat or Saber. No, I was using the Anza because the wildcat is tripping too. I was using the wildcat on the PS4 during the beta for Black Ops 3, and it stopped working on the Xbox because they did an update for the controller and it just wouldn't work. And you had to do all this weird stuff for it to work. But I was using my Cronius Max that let me use this controller on the P4, and it was working fine. But I still, for a minute, like pressing hard on the buttons, like you don't have to do that. It's mechanical. You can hear the keys moving. That's all you have to do. Like, you just tap it. It's not that difficult. It's not that hard. Pressure, and that was one thing that I had to get used to. That was my fault. The controller feels good. I noticed I don't have the same finger fatigue that I have with the original controller. I don't like that. It just feels awkward. Like the sticks are too loose, and you know, I did get some type of hand fatigue and finger fatigue for playing too long. That's one thing that I think razer does right, is the controller feels good in the hands. They are lightweight, and this one might be a little bit heavier than the predecessor. This is the oldest brother, this is the middle brother, this is the baby, and you know, they changed a lot. I might do a video where I break down the 3 and what happened. What's the difference between the 3 controllers? What they added, what they took back, what they took away, whatever. But I love how thick, I love how big the circumference of these are, because the original controllers, they're pretty small. Of course, you can fix that with, you know, ordering these little things and throw them on top. So it's not really an issue, but this comes with, you know, a big enough grip for your fingers on it. So that's cool off the box. Again, the mechanical keys feel fine. The D-pad is perfectly good. The extra buttons up here, I don't know why they're here. They're pointless. These 2 are. The first thing I dislike, which they did with the razer Sabertooth, was put the buttons with triggers instead of paddles, which was, I think, is dumb. Like, you know, I tried to work with it. I spent $160 on the controller. It was $13 shipping. You know, I'm thinking like, okay, I'm gonna force myself to learn how to, you know, use, if I suck for a while, whatever. But I just can't do it. Like, it's foreign. It does not feel right. And at the time when I had this, I had nothing to compare it to, but I have something to compare it to. We'll talk about that later. But at the time, I didn't have anything to compare it to, so it was like, you know, I didn't know, like, you know, would the paddles be better, like, you know. And I'm saying right now, I was playing around pressing this, and I was thinking like, I should go back and try, you know, clicking from up here instead of clicking the trigger down here, clicking from up here, see how that works for me, because I have bigger hands. And it's not like you got to press it hard, but it's just like, you know, I don't know. It throws off the rhythm of the controller doing that anyways. So the triggers were stupid, Razer. If you make another controller, don't do that. Like, that is dumb. You did all your research, you spent all that money to find out that this was the best thing to do. They lied to you. It's not the best. Paddles work better. Triggers are dumb. Having triggers at the bottom. And these buttons up here, you know, are stupid having it that way too. Now, one thing that was about the previous controllers is like they weren't durable. Things would break. You would get drift and all that stuff after a while, after a few drops. So, you know, the original didn't have the bottom buttons on the bottom, but it did have ones on the top. And these, you know, these buttons were for pretty much when your right trigger breaks or your left trigger breaks or your right bumper breaks or whatever. That's what the extra button is for. Like you're not gonna use them for extra buttons. You're gonna use them to replace the buttons when these break, because that's what happens. These controllers are not durable. That is the biggest flaw with these controllers. They break easily. I can't hate on any other product. I don't have a Black Widow keyboard. I don't know anything about the mouses. All I know is their controllers have not been durable in the past, which brings me to my issue with this Razer Wildcat. So I was playing one day, I was raging some Call of Duty, and I pressed really hard on the R trigger. I did press hard on it, I can admit. Now, I don't know if I didn't have it all the way out. I don't use them. I don't like them. They feel foreign. I even have scuff grips on this controller, and these are the ones with the trigger stops. I don't mind having it on trigger, but having it on aim, it just feels awkward, and it feels like I'm, you know, it feels like an unnatural movement. So I this is just really my controller for, you know, PC or so. Like I haven't used this since I've gotten these other two, but yeah, I don't like it, but this is what happened. This is why I'm sending this back, and I was contemplating on, you know, deciding if I was gonna get a refund or replace it, and they sent me an email saying that I could replace it, because it happened like within the first week, 2 weeks of me using it. I wasn't playing for a whole 2 weeks either, so I only really played on the weekends. So basically, this is what happened. I was playing, raging, I pressed this real hard. I don't know if I had that all the way out or not, or whatever, but this is what happens when the trigger stop is on. When it's off, it's fine, like I can still play, but when it's on, that happens. Like you see that big gap? See over here, there's no gap. Over here is a big gap, like it comes out, and it's not supposed to do that, and it throws you off. So this happened literally 2 weeks in, only playing on the weekends. So within, you know, not even 48 hours of gameplay, I popped that out. So that was the issue. It goes right back, and again, it's fine with the trigger stops off, but it's just, you know, with it on. So that's enough alone for me to be like, you know, I'm good with Razer for now. The products are not durable. I love everything about the controller except for the fact that that happened, and then going with the triggers again. Now I was contemplating, thinking about, you know, if I wasn't going to send this back, if I was going to replace it, you know, getting, like, because this is the button right here basically, and it's real sensitive. So I was thinking about maybe putting something there, you know, making my own paddle and jimmy rig or whatever. But that was a thought before I, you know, discovered something else. But yeah. That was my thought process, but, you know, I don't have to do that now, because there is another, you know, third-party option where you can just throw paddles on the back of a regular controller, and I was pretty much building my own stuff. You know, I was going to get I was going to end up getting the Titan triggers, because that's one issue I don't like with the original controller that this does better. Like the play, it's just way too loose. This is a lot more stable. I think the Anza, yeah, the Anza has more play. The Anza probably has the best resistance out of all of them. And then the Sabertooth will be next, and then this will be last, because it is a little bit, it's not loose, but I'm saying it goes in that order. The original Xbox controller is way too loose. Like throwing a hot dog down the damn hallway. Too loose, but that's pretty much it. I love everything about the controller except for this. Going with the triggers, it should be paddles. Triggers are stupid. It has a 3.5mm jack, but it's kind of pointless if you're using, you know, a headset or headphones that have no sound, no power, because it's going to be real low. You can't hear anything, so it defeats the whole purpose. I'm using my Siberia V2s hooked up via my monitor, so that's what I'm using for sound, because my mix amp for my it's not working properly. So that's what I've been doing for the last few months, because I don't know what the problem is, and I don't want to go out and buy another mix amp or buy anything else without knowing what actually the issue is. I did buy, off topic, something just to see if I could test it out. It was only 13 bucks. See if I can figure out if it was like an issue with the Xbox or what. But this didn't work either, so it is what it is. I don't know. That's why I haven't gone out and buy another mix amp yet. But the whole sound thing is pointless. Now it's real easy to map the buttons. This is how you do it right here. These two. There's two different forms of trigger stops. There's the mechanical one back here, and then there's one where you just, you know, you tap a button, you tap the trigger, you tap A, you map it, and then you press it, and then it's like a mechanical, so that in the game it registers that you have a trigger stop on. Like a game like Halo, when you're using like the when you're doing noob combo, well, I don't know if you still can do that, but when you use that plasma gun, if you tap A with the trigger stops on, it won't go down. It'll shoot like pop. Whereas where you put the mechanical version of the trigger stop on, it'll register that you're doing that, so it'll stay down. So you can get trigger stops to work mechanically, and it'll work digitally, so that the Xbox knows what you're doing in whatever game you're playing. So that's cool. But other than that, the controller feels great in the hand. It feels good, like I said. I don't have any of the fatigue issues that I've had with even this, because yeah, same thing, because it's the same body, same build, whatever. But I don't know. Is this worth paying $160 if you buy it plus tax, all that without? For me, no, because I don't have the extra buttons. That's the whole point. Like, it's like, this is where we're at right now in gaming. Having all these different buttons on your controller is what we do. So spending this much money and not using it, I got away with that with the Sabertooth. That was fine, like, because I didn't need to do that. Because I wish that Sabertooth did what they did with the Yanza and made like a premium version where you didn't have the extra bells and whistles and it was a little bit cheaper. Because I didn't use the extra buttons on the bottom. I did use the ones on the top once. These two up here, like once there was a little bit, the triggers weren't working properly. Sometimes it just goes back and work, but for a while that you might use those to shoot. Sometimes it is a little bit steadier too. But yeah, that's it. I couldn't recommend this controller. If you're a Razer fanboy, you got everything, go for it. It matches your setup. You cool with the black and green. That's your thing. It's cool. For PCs, probably this might be a good controller as well, because it does work with the controller, with the PC, with the drivers. But as far as console gaming and where we're at with gaming now, and how like AW to me was a scuff killer. Like it made you pretty much need to be able to jump and shoot with all this flying and stuff around, stuff like that. These games, these futuristic games, are pretty much making it a requirement almost. It's like I'm saying, it is what it is. It will help you out when you're playing against somebody else who's flying. Like, it ain't like just you're on the ground, but when they're in the air doing silhouettes and splits and one shot and you with the snipe, it's like, it gets annoying when you're just regular, playing. But just tapping A to jump while you're shooting, it's not gonna cut it. Or playing with some crazy configuration with your fingers and all that, that's just gonna. I can't see you probably getting fatigued and not playing too long with that too. But my videos are at 12 minutes. Recommendations: Razer, don't put no more triggers on the bottom of the controller. It'd be cool if you made a premium version of the controller without the bells and whistles. That was a little bit cheaper, because again, it is an excellent feeling controller. Like, it would be perfect for me to use for PC. Like, it'd be like a perfect dedicated PC or any other game, honestly, other than a shooter. Like, it still works fine perfectly for all those other games as well. But as far as playing like Call of Duty, something like that, maybe Halo, Gears, you might want to use your extra buttons. That's what they're there for. And I just can't use those ones at the bottom. Like, they just don't feel right. But then again, I was playing around with the idea of putting some paddles down here, and but I don't have to do that anymore, because I'm probably sending this controller back. But that's it. The controller is a lot more durable. And I will say again, I'm 6'4", 300 plus, benching 450. So you might not have to worry about doing this. Like, I did that. But the fact that it happened, it kind of pissed me off, knowing like, it's like, okay, again, another issue with your controller. And this happened quicker than any of these, even though, I was more disappointed in this happening than all my Anzas broke. And I went through at least, like I said, 6 or 7 different Razer Anzas. And I'm already at one. I went through one Sabertooth, and here's one Wildcat, and it's going to get sent back. And hopefully I get my refund, because I found something that worked out okay to replace this. But yeah, that's my video. We out.